really intriguing and excellent development that's happening around us with the West Development. It does feel very suburban suddenly, where it didn't historically.
Well, and I come down here semi-regularly, and every month you come down here, there's a new building that's popped up, and it's filling up very fast, so it won't be long and it won't have that sort of construction site feel about it.
There we go, underway second quarter. Sloane in the middle, almost came away with it, wasn't able to win the football. I think Strawn copped one for his trouble there. Second effort, Laird goes in on the bottom of the football. Ben Davis, haven't caught him too much yet. Looks for an option. McHenry was closing him down. Opportunity now to run away with the football Blue. Add to their first quarter dominance. They got really on top late. There's Nick Murray looking to stake his claim as a full-time member of the Crows list. As we mentioned, there are spots up for grabs in the key defensive posts. The brother of former Collingwood player Sam.
Yep.
He might be in line for a potential spell of AFL footy this year. Good use of the footy. Worrell's been used as a link man a little bit coming out of defence, although Walker and Jones couldn't quite get on the same page there. Butts goes in, didn't keep his feet, comes back to Jones on his left foot, kicks it up towards the top of the square. O'Brien flew, couldn't quite take the mark. The ball now down in a contested situation. Billy Frampton ties up a red number, and we'll get a bounce down in that left forward pocket.
Good ball movement again, though. It was Sloane who brought the ball back inside. They got it out of the density and onto the open side of the ground. Unfortunately, Walker's first handball just missed Lockie Jones. Adelaide would have been away, and it was just an indication again. They're just trying to be a little bit more attacking and offensive with their ball movement from defence.
Free kick's been pulled out. Looks like it's going to go to James Rowe. Good kick, his second of the day. Don't think Luke Brown will be particularly happy with that. He's matched up directly with him. He got the football and was tied up by Frampton, and James Rowe will kick for goal off a pretty tight angle. Just getting word through Bix from the Crows as well. David McKay suffered a head knock in that first quarter.
That. He's being attended to.
Not officially ruled out as yet, but he's just being monitored for the moment.
I reckon at 30-something in the pre-season trial match, I reckon if you cop one on the scon, you just say, I'll just sit down for the rest.
Rowe on his right foot just pushed it across the face. He's 1-1 on the day, James Rowe. Kicked a terrific crumbing goal in the first quarter.
And that is the element of his game which is generally outstanding. At one stage, I think, didn't he kick 19 goals straight at one stage without missing? That's the thing, if you create 3 or 4 opportunities a game and you kick at 80%, that's a very good strike rate. So that'll be something that Crows fans will be looking forward to.
Red's looking to build up on the wing. Gollant sits underneath it, takes a mark. Did well, Gollant. Right foot out towards the wing. Jack Lewis there contesting for Blue, another former PAC player, he and Luke Pedler representing.
Know each other pretty well, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Tom Lynch received that kick in. He's pushed down deep into the fence. So he's playing on the wing, so I guess they're looking for him to be that link man, probably just coming out of the fence. We've seen him do it as a half forward, so he just gets a little bit higher now if he plays on the wing and tries to create that bridge between half back and half forward.
Do you like him playing a bit further up the ground this year?
Oh, look, I do, because he backs his kick in, so he turns inside, he plays on, and he pulls the trigger, and that is what opens up the ground. So it's really just whether maybe he's got the speed to play on some of those other speedy wingmen against the opposition clubs, but he certainly won't have any trouble with his work rate, no doubt about that.
Philthorpe brought the ball to ground a moment ago. Everyone stopped as though there was going to be a bounce. The umpire disagreed. Newchurch goes in with one hand. Umpire's pulled out a free kick, and it's going to go to
Jones.
Chase Jones, who was putting his head over the footy. But all right, Jones.
Yeah, he's had a number of touches early on, and then a couple this quarter as well.
That kick, Luke Brown puts his body on the line as he does. Rove by Laird, comes to Jimmy Rowe now on his right. Kicks it inboard. Jones will get yet another touch. Good to see him racking him up. That's been the criticism of his game. Keys and Worrell again, providing an option out of defence. Or tough giving it to your ruckman there.
Never handle to a ruckman.
Yeah, that's asking a lot of big Rowe.
There's an old adage, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's why they say it, I think.
Yeah, we just got to see it. Like this bloke, McPherson. He kicks it long inside 50. Fished it away, left forward pocket. Murphy will be first on the football. Use his right foot just to clear the area momentarily. Oh no, tripped at a crucial moment. And a flying shot on goal. We'll see it go through for the one behind. It was young Matt Merritt, who's played a little bit of development footy for the Crows in the Sandful.
You mentioned McPherson. Hard not to like the way he goes about his business. He reminds me, for people my vintage, which is around 50, if you think of a player called Andy McKay, who was a South Australian, played at Glenelg, then went on to be a star at Carlton, ended up captaining the side. He's just that no-nonsense. You can just rely on him not to make mistakes, to get the job done. And I think that's the type of player that I hope he can turn into, and he's certainly showing every sign that he's capable.
Good bit of footy won by Ronan O'Connor, the big West Australian midfielder there. Rode a tackle, just took his time, ended up finding a teammate with a handball. It means that Red will now have a shot on goal.
Why do I think of a boy band every time you say Ronan O'Connor? I'm not sure why, but...
Ronan. Not sure what his voice is like. I like the big midfielders, though, and he's certainly
kick.
there. No, that is a magnificent long kick. Careens into the post, though, and just the one behind.
Maybe there's a little bit more breeze out there than what we're seeing. There's been a couple of kicks that are really carried at that end as it just sort of springs up a little bit. So,
well, Bix, there's two of us here, and only one of us owns a weather station. So I'll leave that kind of assessment to you.
They've been attacking with their kick-outs, Adelaide. And this one's another one. They've gone long down the middle. Riley O'Brien, the target.
O'Brien underneath it. Takes a good, strong contested mark. 5th in the league in contested marks last year, Riley O'Brien. Became
a real feature, didn't it? And particularly that game against West Coast in that last quarter. I think he took 5 against Nick Naitanui, which was outstanding.
Little stabbing kick. Laird wanted Murphy, didn't get it. Scholl claimed the mark at the second grab. Into Berry.
Keep seeing that inside kick, don't we? Which I think most teams are looking to be able to employ, and it's worked quite well for Adelaide so far.
Berry got it to Smith. Davis ran back with the flight, took a good mark. Comes out towards centre half back, finds captain in Rory Sloane.
So we're seeing Davis cast in a different role, aren't we? He's played most of his footy in the front half of the ground. Good chase by Phil Thorpe.
Good chase on Worrell. He's had a bit of the footy. Fogarty with strength that time on Kelly. The bull out-bulled Babs. Fogarty goes long inside 50, and a good mark is taken by Taylor Walker, who unselfishly kicks it across the face. And that's Lachie Scholl.
Jeez, I'm not sure the advantage there. That's Taylor Walker just for bringing other players into the game. That's what he does. But I wouldn't mind Walker having that shot from about 20 metres out on a slight angle as opposed to... is it Scholl? He's gone short
Scholl
again.
Oh, yeah.
Which paid him back.
Someone's going to have to kick a goal at some point. Taylor Walker will be lining up for his second, 25 metres out in that right-hand forward pocket for the blue side. The difference between the sides, what you're seeing today, Bix, in terms of this trial and the personnel in either, is that when blue create a goal-scoring opportunity, they tend to look pretty easy, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's just the depth in quality.
And, you know, we saw Fogarty either take a contested mark or get a free kick because he's opposed to Jake Kelly. Now, Jake Kelly doesn't quite have the frame to be able to compete one-on-one with Fogarty because he's bigger and he's stronger. And I think that's going to be, as Taylor Walker slots that through, that's going to be a bit of the challenge when you're missing Duday and also Daniel Talia, as we said, who are just not quite on the track at the moment. They've got a few niggles that they're trying to get over. Talia coming off quite a serious knee injury that he's put behind him now, but still needs to get a bit of work. And Tom Duday's just had a couple of niggles, which is keeping him off the track. I think it's a little bit of around his groin area. So you'd hope that those players are able to get back and play a large portion of the season in defence because it just makes them look so much more solid.
The friends and family tent next to us here at Footy Park, overflowing with family and people that have done this before and others that will be doing it for the very first time. And a very good morning to those that are joining us from interstate as well, of course, given the nature of the world today. Not everyone could make the trek across the border. And for people like, I imagine, the guys just got the footy here, Sam Berry's family, they would have loved to make it across, but makes it a little bit difficult with the border restrictions and whatnot. Terrific of the club to put on a stream like this to allow them to get to see the kids for the first time, albeit I suspect the Berries will be seeing a little bit of their son playing for the Crows in season 2021. Yeah,
look, people already talking on the back of what we've seen today. He's will be in the shuffle, no doubt, for round one, which is great. And great for fans as well to see players being able to come in and make an impact.
Pedler, long inside 50 on the left. The errant kick from Davis coming out. Created the opportunity. A free kick's been pulled out. It's going to go the way of the Blue defenders in ball ace.
Crows fans be rather excited about Ball Ace as well. Like in terms of his frame, he looks like he's got a body ready to go, and really good raps on him as a young footballer. And of course, we know he comes from outstanding pedigree.
246 games for Port Adelaide, Daryl. Port fans aren't worried about that. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about Mum either, who was
an Australian netballer.
Australian netballer.
Comes from good stock.
Exactly.
Of course, born in Egypt, so counts as coming from a non-traditional footballing background for the purpose of the NGA academies. The important thing is he's a Crow now. And, geez, he cuts a pretty impressive figure out there on the field. Red just toying around with it on that outer wing side. Brodie Smith. Some construction equipment moves in beside us, Big, so got very nervous for a second there that we're in the way of a pit being dug. Here we go. Mark taken just on the edge of 50 and a little chipping kick to Matty Wright, who he said was addressing the the forward line at quarter time, just showing him how he's done midway through the second quarter.
I'm suspecting he said, when you get it, just look for me. I'll be making a little bit of space. And
been open all day.
Don't be afraid to kick it to me. But that was good play. And what we see there is just some urgency to actually get the ball moving. The red player took it and just wheeled around, expecting that someone will be creating some sort of option. And one thing we've always known about Matty Wright, he knows where the goals are. I think he might have won the goal kicking at Carlton.
Certainly did.
AFL side later in his career, and certainly kicked a lot of goals for Adelaide during his time here as well. So nice bit of ball movement from the red team. And if we go back to where that started at the centre of the ground, it was a good bit of ruck work by Strawn, who was able to get over the top of Riley O'Brien, got it down. I think it might have been Berry. He got the ball out of the middle. So once again, you mentioned that a couple of times, where it's the red team have got Berry and Pedler and Strawn in there against Sloan and Matt Crouch and Riley O'Brien. So it's certainly the A versus the B, but that's just two random letters. It's not sort of casting any aspersions.
No. Jackson Haitley's been a fixture of the mainstay of the red midfield today. And he's an interesting one, because the expectation is he's been in the system for a few years. He'll play a bit of footy this year. His role in red almost today is to give them a little bit of a mature body and someone who's been there and done it, isn't it?
And he's what Adelaide have been lacking in terms of that big-bodied midfielder. He's 190 centimetres or maybe even just slightly taller. In his third year now, he's a first-round draft pick, so there is some real expectation on him and him being able to play a fair bit of footy this year.
Kelly fits it away just in front of Darcy Fogarty, left-hand forward pocket, right-hand forward pocket, coming out. It's going to start getting very confusing over the course of the morning, Bix, with the expectation, we've been told this from the Crows as well, that the teams will chop and change over the course of the day. So the result, not important. It's all about seeing how the guys gel and what shape they're in. Taylor Walker looks in reasonable nick, albeit that's not his best kick. He snapped just out in the full.
Yeah, I'd expect at some stage as well, the young fella Murray, who is playing on the blue team in defence at the moment, might get a look on someone like a Darcy Fogarty or a Taylor Walker. Murray's someone who is in contention to be upgraded onto the list, and with Cole Hartigan leaving, I think there is perhaps an opportunity to get a mature-sized body. He's ready to go at AFL level in terms of his body and experience. He's played at VFL level before. So I think that he's someone that will be looked at closely, and maybe in the second half put him on one of the really good blue forwards to see how he fares.
O'Brien works Strawn under the football. Rowe made a play on the ball, then made a play into space, got it back, slung for his troubles, and the umpires called out a free kick.
That's the other thing that he has an art of doing, is actually drawing the free kicks. James Rowe last year just gets down low to the footy. He sees a tackler coming and he sort of drives into them. So that's something that is a nuance as well. The Robbie Grays and the Eddie Betts of the world have the ability to do that, and he's certainly got that footy smarts as well.
Lockie Murphy, who we'll be forming a partnership with, you imagine, right throughout the year as the small forwards in the Crows' first team. Just a quick snap on goal, the one behind. Borlase leads Himmelberg to the football. Wright waiting at the back. O'Brien does the crumb work. Wrapped up by Wright. Himmelberg's second effort gets the football, and he's right. Kicks it up the wing. Just dribbled out of bounds. Geez, it looked tight from here, but Golant couldn't quite keep it in front of development player Matt Merritt in McLaren Vale. Been a really good player for the Crows in the SANFL, actually, Matt Merritt.
Yeah, it's wonderful when you see young players who are playing in the country or in some of the minor leagues get the opportunity at SANFL level, and it's great. Somehow they've just slipped through some of the cracks in the system, and in extreme occasions you see players get drafted into AFL clubs, which is fantastic.
Lockie Murphy.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, here's Wayne Miller with a touch of class, picked it up, managed to evade a tackle, tries to get away from another one. Pedler wanting to make a name for himself, couldn't quite get a hold of Miller. Kick's good too. Umpire calls a free kick. No, he's played it against Darcy Fogarty.
Yeah, and
a bit of wrestling.
Adelaide like that matchup, don't they? If you can get Fogarty in some space one-on-one against Kelly, generally that's going to be a good result for Adelaide. And I thought the free kick was going the other way, but no, the umpire saw it differently.
Fogarty bested him earlier in a one-on-one. Kelly gets him back. Lynch out in the wing in that link role that we're expecting to see a fair bit of this year. Inside 50, little nudge. No free kick, says the umpire, just a mark that's been paid. Matt Crouch.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Geez, you don't see that too often.
Just going back. Crouch. Firstly, getting back quickly in defence, which was great work, and then that sort of drifting across with the intercept mark. What a cop one in the lower abdomen, I think, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, don't like the old lower abdomen hits. That's for sure. Red now at the wing. Lynch with another touch. Pedler went in, couldn't quite win the football. Expectation? Do you expect, Biggs, what's the way in which these games tend to progress from this point on? Do the older bodies with the extra pre-season, the fitness, tend to rise over the length of the game, or do you start to ease off once you feel like you've proven what you need to?
Oh, no, I think that the more experienced players, as the game opens up a bit, they know where to go to find the footy. So that's generally the way it goes. And what has been pleasing is blokes like Miller. It looks like he's just picked up. If you just rocked up today and you didn't know that he didn't play hardly any footy last year, he looks in really good form. He's got the confidence back to be able to take on the tackler and dodge and weave. And that was when he was at his best. We saw him a couple of times sort of evading people off halfback and setting up some play. So that's a really positive sign. Walker looks in really good shape as well, albeit he's against some of the younger defenders. But
Butts has held up well against him one-on-one. He did again there. He's inserted himself pretty well, Jordan Butts. Big task.
And I think last year, Taylor Walker just struggled physically towards the end of the year. He just, he had to be in really good shape physically to be able to compete strongly at the level. So he needs to be in really good shape. And at the moment, like most players, it looks to be the way.
Don't have an official stats, man, but it feels like Jackson Hately's had a lot of the football in close. He got another touch there, and Red will come away with it. Thilthorpe led out to the football, was fished it away from him. Matt Crouch is tackled, just keeps the ball in play. They'll go forward here, Blue, if they can get a clean access to the football. Frampton got it, flicked it back behind his head. Right foot kick now. Little dribbler up towards McHenry, runs onto it and just sees out of band. In fact, it's Schonberg.
Yep. Been a little bit quiet today, hasn't he? I haven't seen Harry Schonberg. Really impressive last year. And one of the things he brings to the team, particularly around stoppage, he gets the ball on the move. Sometimes Matt Crouch is a little bit static, but Schonberg gets on the move and he's able to break a tackle and just burst away from stoppage. And since Patrick Dangerfield has left, there hasn't been something that we've seen a whole lot of. And in the absence of Brad Crouch, who has that ability as well, this is something that Schonberg will be looking to add to, I think.
O'Connor gets a second touch in this play, but how was Pedler? Just to shed the tackler well. Mature body, seems to know how to angle his body just to get rid of his opponent. Bit of crumbing work by Thilthorpe. He can do that, the big fella.
Nice kick.
And on his right foot, it was a magnificent kick. You're right, Bex. Now inside 50, it's Golan. Used his body well against Davis. He's got Newchurch in the middle. Oh, was it a kick at goal or was it a kick at his teammate, Bex?
Yeah, I would have preferred a handball.
Yeah.
And if you're Tarek Newchurch, you're a little bit flat with that because you've created some real separation between your player. You're running into an open goal, and unfortunately, even the kick it was dribbling and bouncing, and it just bounced off his shin and went through for a behind. So a missed opportunity there for the red team for Adelaide.
Blue will come out of defence. Little flashes get shown. Newchurch has been in and around the football a little bit. You see glimpses of the talent that he's got. Thilthorpe wrestling under this one, but it won't be one of the fires. It came at the back. No mark paid. No, nothing there. Thilthorpe gathered it, got it to Murphy, fumbled it. In goes Worrell, hair flapping in the wind. And, geez, the umpires have not been in a hurry to blow the whistle, have they?
Yeah, it's been interesting as well because one of the things that's created a lot of, talking about umpires, created a lot of discussion over the off-season has been this new rule standing the mark. Have not even noticed it or seen it, have we really? It hasn't been an issue at all. And I guess a lot of people worry that it's going to, 3 or 4 or 5 50-metre penalties per game, but as yet we haven't seen any inclination of that.
It might have been young Bacanello a moment ago for the Crows in red. Seeing again.
Getting an opportunity.
Development players from Ross Trevor, may have played against Luke Pedler or some of the other PAC boys. Jack Lewis playing in the game today. Little left foot kick, little dribbler, and it's a goal.
Yep. Just trying to think who that was. Was it Tarek Newchurch, I think, might have been the player there. A few players getting up and congratulating. It all happened very fast there, but it was just the ability to get the ball to his boot very, very quickly. Just he was hunched over the footy and didn't bother about standing up straight to do it. Just sort of got it, dropped that little gap between his hand and foot and dribbled it through. So good reward for the red team because they've had a fair bit of play in their front half. They've just lacked that polish to be able to finish it off as Riley Thilthorpe comes off and just has a little spell. He's puffing a little bit.
Yeah, he looks spent, doesn't he?
And look, that's the thing about younger players, and he's a big man as well. We know he had a little bit of groin trouble last year, so I would suspect Adelaide have been hypersensitive about the load that he's been put under this pre-season. So, having spoken to Matthew Nicks, they're sort of taking a very conservative approach, and this year I think will probably be between 8 and 12, that type of number of games instead of trying to get him to play every game, because what you see is sometimes the amount of work and the load that these young players are used to. If they play all that footy, sometimes it brings them undone physically. So they'll want to make sure that that he gets through the season, hopefully mostly unscathed.
Pedler with a classy clearance there. Newchurch picked it up in one go. He's really coming to the game now. Feeds a little handball and a flying shot on goal.
Tom Lynch.
He would be he'd be upset with that.
Exactly. Jarek Newchurch was very good, very clean below his knees, picked the ball up, got it to Lynch. Lynch actually took the time to take an extra couple of steps and steadied. He knew he had time and unfortunately just tugged it left, and that's very unusual for Tom.
You mentioned too on Thilthorpe, Bix, the club will take it easy with him. Keep in mind that if you take it, not just as he's starting from today, but the last 12 months of his development, he's had some groin injuries over the course of last year and was probably cast in a role for much of the last sample season he wasn't expecting to with injuries they had. He had to play first ruck.
That's right. And the other thing, the jump between under 18s and SANFL to AFL has never been as big as what it is now. So, in terms of his core strength, in terms of the amount of weight work he's been able to do, when you do weights, when you come into this program that the Adelaide Footy Club have, you've got to learn the correct techniques, so you're not, putting loads on your back and any of those type of things. So it is a slow process, and particularly when you're 200 centimetres plus, it probably adds another year or so onto that. So, even if you look at the King twins and lots of the big, tall and young players that have been taken early in the draft, it does take time. So they're certainly not going to be rushing this young man.
McPherson found Strawn, who just came onto the ground, gets it to Newchurch, puts the afterburners on, kicks inside 50. What did Matty Wright? Just hung it up a little bit for him there. Fisted away. Comes to Hately, asks for it back. Right on 50, tackle applied by Murray, comes to Brown. He'll just bomb it up towards a dangerous area. Sitting underneath it is Lynch, uses his body. Out comes Mick Henry, little handball back. Now back to Lynch, twisting and turning on his right. He loves to centre it in these circumstances. Wanted Seasman, fisted away from him by Murphy. Comes to Pedler on his left. He'll have a flying shot at goal. Geez, he didn't get it off the point of the foot he was hoping for there. But he's really coming to the game, Pedler. There's a feature watching him, and again, we say it so often, Bix, that anyone wheeling around on their left foot just looks spectacular, doesn't it? And he's just got a touch of that about him.
Exactly. I saw some great highlights of a game he played at Glenelg coming off half-back, and he's got great penetration with his kick. He sees the game pretty well. I hate putting big labels on people, but Luke Hodge often tried to sizzle that kick through the middle of the ground, and I think he's got that capability as well, where he sees a kick that probably only 1 in 10 people can kick it, and he wants to take that kick. So that's a great quality to have, and as he gets better and gets more composed at this level, he'll start to hit those kicks.
Hasn't looked overwhelmed at all. Frampton took a good mark there, kicks it out towards the wing, some wrestling. Fire's called a free kick, goes to O'Brien. Jesus, tough to pick out the umpires without the fluoro kit on, isn't it? They're sort of moulding into the background, but that one was a free kick that was paid.
Paid to Darcy Fogarty. A bit disappointed with that kick. Yeah, didn't quite get to where it wanted to go, intercepted by the red team. And Newchurch's had a really good quarter, hasn't he? He's done some nice things up forward. Now he's starting to cover the deck and get some ball at half-back.
Here he is, covering a bit of territory. The pre-season seems to have done him well. Knock on him was about getting over the ground, getting to the football and work rate. Well, it doesn't look like too much of a question thus far. Certainly his capacity to get the ball. Henry used it well to Hately.
Yeah, a bit of slow play here from the red team, just possessing the ball, trying to make the Blues accountable.
Note, though, everyone who's taken a mark on the half-back flank. Oh, Jesus, McHenry goes without it. Pressure applied now. And, no, that didn't look good at all for young Ned.
And that's, I guess, a little bit of the knock. He's had a couple of brain fades today and just some fumbles, which he'd love to have again. But one thing we know about him, he'll keep batting up and he keeps wanting to get the ball in his hands, but he just needs to tidy some of those errors up.
Ace Taylor gets it to Murphy, wanted McAdam in the pocket. I was going to say on the half-back flank, it's been a feature. Everyone who's taken a mark in that position, their first instinct's been to go inboard.
Yeah, that's right. And you're just trying to get it away from density. The blue team had numbers down the line. You don't want to just wheel back and kick to an outnumber down the line. So they're trying to be attacking. And, that's half the battle here. And good teams are able to do it. But, of course, everyone knows that and everyone's trying to stop it. So you've got to be able to be a really good kicking team, or you've got to be able to move very quickly so you can attack before the opposition is ready to defend.
Himmelberg, double-handed push out. We'll get a throw in. Starting to get warm in the sun down there. You can see on the boundary. Lots of water being taken in on this side of the ground by players on the bench. Like it wasn't yesterday, though, I suppose. O'Brien wins it.
That's it.
Hamill applies a tackle. Ball spills free. Kicked up towards the wing. Scholl crumbs it, gets it inboard, comes back to ball ace. From Ace Taylor at a touch just a moment ago. First I can recall calling him thus far this afternoon. Walker tried a little cheeky handball. Was spilled, comes to Smith. Now Butts all came off his head. Butts, he's in all sorts of trouble now. He's handballed it in a situation you don't want to have to, and an umpire's called out a free kick, and Blue will kick the easiest of goals, you'd imagine. Just a matter of who is going to be credited with it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, wasn't it, for Jordan Butts. He'd spent it before he got it, and the Brodie Smith handball was straight to him, but it went straight through his hands and bounced off his nose. And then from there it was a scramble, and Lockie Murphy is the man who was able to lay the tackle, holding the ball.
Which is how he creates his goal-scoring opportunities, Murphy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And if you think about the combination of both Lockie Murphy and James Rowe, they are different. Rowe is more the elusive. He's going to create much more scoring opportunities. I think he averages around 4 shots on goal, whereas Murphy's more of your 1 to 2 shots on goal, but he does probably more of the pressure stuff, and he's got a bit more fanaticism to get at the opposition. So that's not to say James Rowe doesn't get at the opposition, but his go is sort of hitting the scoreboard a little bit more than Lockie Murphy. And if he can, improve that and start to average 1.5 goals a game, he's going to become a very good player.
Deep in the second quarter here at Footy Park. Crows internal trial. Perfect day for football. The deck looks in magnificent condition.
It does.
It's just picture perfect. Nice cool breeze blowing across now. Blue side have asserted themselves. Been some flashes from some of the young midfield in red. Pedler and Berry, we like the look of. O'Connor spent a bit of time in the midfield now.
He's an interesting proposition, O'Connor, because he's a good.
He's got the tools.
He's a good size, and we know that so much about the A-grade midfielders. They've all got a bit of size, and they all have that sort of ability then to be able to sneak forward. So to have someone, we know Haitley's a little bit taller, and now as a young player, O'Connor to have it is nice as well.
Murphy got the football up towards Frampton. It was dropped off hands, came over the back. Frampton crumbed it and kicked a classy goal.
Well, Frampton's he's done that twice now. He kicked one after the siren at quarter time, and now he's got one on the siren at half time. So, yeah, good bit of work from Adelaide. Forced it forward.